I'm Dave Jones. I'm the chairman of the Cable Advisory Committee for Hingham. With me are my partners in crime here. We have Chris down here. We have John over here. Another Chris over here. So Jeff over here. Close. And Eric. Yep. Okay, so this is the public hearing to identify the town's cable-related needs as part of the town's Comcast cable license renewal process. The Board of Selectmen is the cable license issuing authority pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 166A, Section 1, and the Board of Selectmen has delegated the holding of this cable renewal hearing to the Cable Television Advisory Committee. Comcast cable television license in Hingham is due to expire on August 13th, 2019. The federal law which governs cable television requires the town to engage in license renewal proceedings, including the holding of this public ascertainment hearing. Ultimately, these proceedings result in either renewal of Comcast license or a denial of such renewal. At this hearing, we'll receive comments and testimony from the general public about what cable-related needs and interests are important to the public. Second, we'll also accept information and comments concerning how well Comcast has performed under the existing license. We ask, if possible, for you to address your testimony, limit your testimony to 3 issues of Comcast past and current performance and community needs and interests. Members of the committee and other attendees may also have questions or comments. We ask that you keep your comments no longer than 3 minutes. Before receiving testimony from the public, Comcast representative will have an opportunity to introduce himself or herself, or himself in our case it's himself, and discuss his cable operations in Hingham. Before we proceeding, we will also note that a part of the hearing and ascertainment, we want to hear generally about Comcast's commitment to community programming, public education, and governmental access, and to maintaining support for the town's institutional network, or some we call INET, including video return lines and related technology, which are important parts of the existing cable services and facilities that have been supported by the cable licensees serving Hingham. We want Comcast, as the possible provider in Hingham, to be aware of and attentive to the importance of local Hingham cable-related cable facilities and their role at the forefront of meeting many public, town, and school cable needs. Any questions of Comcast can be directed through me, and I'll rule on whether they are in order. Before testifying, please state your name and address. We note for the record the process of ascertainment of community cable needs and interests will remain open until further notice. Before commencing, I want to take care of a little procedural matter, including the legal advertisement of tonight's public hearing. We put this in the Hingham Journal on the 1st and the 8th and the 11th into the hearing record as a public hearing exhibit. And Mike Galler is our Comcast representative. Mike, I don't know if you want to say a few words of wisdom or... If you ever want to say, just raise your hand. I'll,
Appreciate it.
So Mike is our Comcast representative. All righty. Laura, first up, I have an agenda of people who have already signed up, and then we'll get to the people who have signed up ad hoc. First up, we have Laura Burns, who is the Hingham Media Board Member President. You have 3 minutes. Well, how are you last?
Good evening. I'm Laura Burns, 96 Hersey Street, and I am president of the Board of Trustees of Harbor Media. We're a private, nonprofit corporation which is under contract to the town of Hingham to deliver cable access services to the Hingham community. You're going to hear shortly from our staff and our volunteers about everything we do in the community, but I'd like to begin at the beginning from when we signed our last license agreement with Comcast. At that time, I was serving on the Hingham Board of Selectmen, and my signature is on that license. And at that time, Comcast was moving from the model of providing a regional studio for the broadcast of cable access content to the model represented in that agreement, which was for the towns to use the licensing fees to chart our own future in cable access. Here in Hingham, we took that future and ran with it. After some discussion within the town about the best way to go about this, we did set up the Hingham Community Access Media, rebranded 2 years ago as Harbor Media, to be the agency to bring our vision to life. That vision has turned us into a vibrant addition to the fabric of Hingham's community, and I was proud to join the Harbor Media Board after stepping down as a selectman. Not all of our board members could be here tonight, but some have sent brief statements about why they see Harbor Media as central to Hingham's community life and why they chose to serve as leaders on our board. Margie Sullivan says, as a 30-year veteran of the film video business in Boston, I support Access Television. I live in Hingham, and I choose to give back to the community what I've learned in the industry. I'm a founding board member for Harbor Media since 2011. Noreen Moras says, Harbor Media is a production center for its members who create and share their visions with each other and the community. It's a school for the youth of Hingham to learn how to become budding directors, writers, editors, and producers, and it's a gateway for the voice of local government to reach the residents of Hingham. And it's a partner with the schools of the community to teach, cover, and engage with their pupils. Betty Foley, a board member who is the former assistant town administrator in Hingham, says, I spent several years in the selectman's office fielding calls from citizens who were disappointed with the quality of the meeting broadcasts on the government channel. So when I was approached about filling a vacancy on the board, it seemed like an opportunity to be part of the solution. And that brings me to two requests from our board, two issues which are handicapping our ability to deliver the best product to our community. As Betty mentions, for years we have been bedeviled by poor signal quality from Town Hall, from this room, for our coverage of Board of Selectmen meetings, which are by far the most popular content on any of our 3 channels. Our team has worked to improve this situation, and we've made many changes to our systems to accomplish that. Excuse me. But it turns out some of the problems stem from shortcomings in Comcast's equipment in this building, which we can't fix because they're Comcast's. Excuse me. Our team has made repeated requests to Comcast to rectify these problems in the equipment, which have prevented us from delivering the product that our citizens deserve and which they paid for with their fees. I would ask you today to make the commitment, before even beginning the renegotiation process, to make right the equipment shortcomings that our viewers, your customers, complain of. Our staff can tell you more about that. The other challenge that we face in regard to all of our programming partly stems from being new kids on the block compared to some other cable access entities. I think it's pretty remarkable what we've accomplished in the 8 years of our existence, and again, you'll hear more about that shortly. But the timing of our coming on air, especially with our community channel, new with the last license, was less than optimal. We made our appearance at the bottom of the channel lineup just as HD viewing was becoming the norm, and just as every American was tuning their remotes to view channels in the HD viewing lineup exclusively. Many people now never visit the part of the channel lineup where we live. Unlike a cable access corporation that had been going for decades, we didn't have the opportunity to build our viewer base the way they did. Excuse me. Before customers migrated permanently to HD viewing and abandoned our section of the channel lineup completely. I think that has held back our chances to build a much broader viewer base. So I request, as part of the license negotiation and part of the commitment to give cable access a level playing field, that Comcast help Harbor Media join the 21st century with HD channels to deliver our hyperlocal content. A level playing field in 2018 means high definition, and we really look forward to working with you to deliver the viewing content that our and your customers deserve. Thank you very much for your time, and now you can hear about what Harbor Media has accomplished for our community.
Laura? Oh, there. You got it written down. Just parenthetic. Hey, Tom. Yeah?
Mind if I?
You absolutely can.
I don't want to hijack, but I just wanted to get.
That's all right. This is Tom Mayo. This is our town administrator. State your name and.
Hi everyone, my name is Tom Mayo. I'm the town administrator for the town of Hingham, and I just wanted to read a letter aloud for the record that I'll also submit.
Yep.
So we've addressed it to Farzad. Dear Mr. Waffapur, I write this letter in support of the renewal of Harbor Media's contract with Comcast. As Hingham's community television access channel, Harbor Media plays a crucial role in making local government transparent and accessible to its citizens of our community. Hingham residents take pride in being engaged, informed members of society, and they play an active role in Hingham local government. Local media helps connect residents to town government through coverage of various board and town committees, as well as community events like our Veterans and Memorial Day ceremonies. Feature programs such as the recent Harbor Interest interview with Police Chief Olson help humanize local government and highlight the people working behind the scenes on behalf of its residents. In addition to allowing residents easy access to town meetings from the comfort of their homes, Harbor Media provides the town with valuable records of discussions and decisions at board and committee meetings. Having these meetings accessible makes it even easier for residents to remain up to date on town affairs. The town has a strong interest in seeing Harbor Media continue to provide local programming to the Hingham community, and I look forward to continuing our work together and thanking you for the support, for your support of the town. So that's one document and one issue. I'll hand that to Farzad now. So you have that. And I have one other issue I wanted to read. I have a captive audience related to Comcast, so I thought I would go here. This will be brief. It is related to the contract and going forward with Comcast. So the INET. The INET is the lifeblood of operations for the town of Hingham. And the Hingham Public Schools. As noted by others, the INET connects 15 of Hingham municipal and school buildings, allowing for shared resources and information between and among departments. The INET also supports the town's IP telephone system, providing quality service and significant cost savings to the town and the public schools. Without the INET, the town and schools could not provide services required to serve the public. Without the INET, the town would not be in business. The town appreciates that Comcast, through the provisions of its INET, are part of its cable license commitments that have well served the town, and the town is appreciative of that. Going forward in the next renewal license, the town will need Comcast to continue to provide, or to continue the provision of the INET, or, in an alternative, provide an acceptable fiber-based alternative solutions with equivalent or greater coverage and reliability. The town looks forward to assisting and working with Comcast on the meeting of this critical need and interest. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks. I just want to parenthetically, a lot of times in hearings, you say, well, they already talked about that, I don't have to say it again. Well, the license hearings are a little bit unique in that they only come around once every 10 years. So you can definitely repeat, I really need HD, I really need HD, because you could be in a situation later on in our negotiations where the other side says, well, I only heard one guy, when actually it was a lot of people. So don't feel like, geez, I shouldn't say this again, it's already been said. No, we do want to hear it. We do want to hear it again. Thank you. On my list, agenda, next up we have Farzad.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Farzad Wafapur. I'm the Executive Director at Harbor Media, and we need HD.
Thank you.
So one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that nowhere in the world can you walk into a place and drop your content and then say, show this on TV. It doesn't exist. The only place that it exists is public access TV. And my background is from corporate, is from app development, documentary production. So I've been in the access world for 14 months as an executive director. And I've actually have seen how impactful public access is within community. Again, this is a place, I want you guys really to think about this. This is a place where the community has its own TV channel on a cable. You're not ABC, you're not CNN, you're not any of these big giant people. We're a community, and we have our own power to make programming for the community. This is really a big deal. And that's really the context of what I wanted to say about what Harbor Media does. Through the high schools, through the all different wings of the government, and the transparency that we provide, where we connect the community to what's actually happening in the government. Oftentimes people ask me, does anybody really watch all these meetings and things like that? They actually do. And the way we know is because I get calls. The signal is not good. I can't hear the audio. On Comcast, on Verizon, it's okay. It's mostly on the Comcast side that we're having these issues. So that's one channel that we can actually tell that people in Hingham, they're actually watching. and we get feedback. And before we actually upload the programs on Telview, we get calls, when is it going to show? And we get hits on our websites, going to the scheduling page to see where it is on their TV channels, especially with the demographics that Hingham has. Now, I don't want to take up too much time. We've gathered most of the testimonials in a 6-minute video, so I'm going to have that play, and then Aaron, Chris, and Kaylee will speak 2 minutes about their experiences at Harbor Media as team members and how they've experienced how we support the community.
When I think of this place, the first thing that comes to mind is history. Herein lies a people proud of its origins, savoring in its traditions, and ever dedicated to preserving history. The folks in this town strive for excellence in education, public service, and bringing people together. When I think of this place, I think of community. I think about how we can continue to foster community and make it available to all that live here. I think about Harbor Media. And it all starts with education. No, I don't just mean schools. We can all learn from those in our community simply by taking the opportunity to listen to them. And what better way to ensure that this opportunity exists in our ever-changing world than through the use of media?
Well, community television has been an enormous asset for Hingham High School, and I think for Hingham Public Schools altogether. It's a great window into the school for the entire community, help people understand what's going on here.
As an educator, we value the service that community television provides, not only in promoting what the teachers and students are doing here in the school, but it gives parents access to things that they might not otherwise see, not being able to get into the building all the time.
I'm hopeful for a continued relationship with Harbor Media that allows us to reach more members of our community and provide more opportunities to share the wonderful work that our students are doing every single day in our classrooms.
It is very important to his communities. Harbor Media is awesome. Harbor Media is so awesome.
A town so rich in history and tradition can only benefit by sharing those things with the world. And that's exactly what our community does when we utilize the resources at Harbor Media. We learn about the efforts, causes, and values of our town, and we learn about who our neighbors really are.
When you see what the community is doing via community television, it sort of makes you feel like a more closer-knit family almost.
So it's good to have that local connection, and not everybody has the time to go to meetings. It's nice having the local ability to have a company record these meetings and other public events, and even some community events, sporting events that you can't get to. They record them and then you're able to see them later.
To have some media that's locally based, it's really part of our democracy, is to have the opportunity to see locally produced material, to be involved in producing material.
We don't have a marketing budget, we can't pay for advertising, and so the partnership with Harbor Media is essential for us to inform the community about the resources that are here for them.
The more active we can be and the more things that we can do with Harbor Media, I'm all for it. It's just such a great community.
I think it's a very important resource for nonprofit organizations, political organizations, as well as individuals in the community to really be able to get their information out to the masses in the community.
When you think of the show that we've been producing here, right, The Optimus Island, I get to interview people who are doing something fascinating. They're following their dream, they're following their passion, they're touching lives, they're inspiring people. There'd be no way for me to do something like that without community access.
I think community television is a great vehicle to bring the community together. Yeah, I think Harbor Media has a great handle on what's important to the residents of Hingham.
For Harbor Media, I volunteered and covered the annual 4th of July parade. I had so much fun. I had such a wonderful opportunity meeting various town officials, local citizens along the parade route, interviewing them. It was one of the best 4th of July experiences I've had in recent memory.
The whole Harbor Media experience has been very good for us. It's very professional, it's very interactive. It's been a very creative experience.
You know, as I say, I think it's something that once upon a time people would have taken for granted, and now when you tune into it, you actually can see that, you know, or to get a sense of the local voice and local flavor, which is a world of difference. But an emphasis on the local, it's invaluable.
And as important as it is to be informed of your local politic, it's instrumental for the people here to have a resource, allowing their voices to be heard throughout the community.
Community access is important in a community such as Hingham because there's really a lot going on in town. Making sure that citizens of Hingham are aware of all of the different things that are going on in the town is really a pretty daunting task, and community access helps bring those events into folks' homes and into their living rooms.
It is very helpful for people to be able to see the proceedings and to understand how decisions are made. There should never be a time when people feel that decisions are being made out of the public eye.
To make sure that people are informed of what's going on, both with the politics of the town and the way it's run, and any events that occur, local cable is the way to go.
Many may speak to community polarization in this day and age, and the social and operational challenges posed by new media technology. But the truth is, people need people. When you believe in the mission of Harbor Media, you believe in building a better community.
And Aaron is up first. Aaron?
Hello, everyone. I'm Erin DiMartino. I'm one of the associate producers for the education channel at Harbor Media. Team member here, and we need an HD channel.
Thank you.
As you saw from our video, we are very well received in the community, and I have really enjoyed working with the community here in Hingham, and I would even consider a lot of these people that I've gotten to know over the years as friends, which has meant a lot to me. And I love what I do with the community, and I'm so grateful and happy to realize that the community feels the same way about Harbor Media that I feel about working with them. So I think that's amazing to love your job like that. And we make an impact here, and I look forward to making more impacts. That's really all.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Chris, you're up.
I'm up. Hello, everybody. I'm Chris Dolan. I'm an associate producer, primarily for the public channel at Harbor Media. I just want to touch on three things here: member experience, empowerment, and kind of teaching and learning that goes on at Harbor Media. So, with the member experience, what I've found has really evolved over the last couple of years is it's really become a collaborative effort with community members in terms of developing programming, as opposed to somebody just coming in the station and just wanting to do what they do. It really becomes this kind of synergy that occurs between two people where a show is developed, kind of from the ground up. And I think that type of collaboration is really needed, especially when someone's just getting started in media. This links to my third point, so I might go there next. That they might not have the aptitude, or not the aptitude, the competencies to use the equipment or anything like that at the start. So, and that I've found can be very daunting for people when they want to make their own show, almost to the point like, I don't think I want to do it. And I think with us, we've worked more towards really building these collaborations where we work with people and we help them on a technical level and they help get us content while they're doing something they're passionate about. So it becomes a collaboration in a very true sense where they're getting something out of it, we're getting something out of it, and at the end of the day, content's going on the channel that's very dynamic and, you know, passion enthused. Going to my third point, and then I'll go to the empowerment point at the end. I'd like to speak a little bit about the elderly and their involvement in the community access station. We have this one couple, Nancy and Peter Boyle, who do a show called Yoga for Boomers. And they really surprised me in terms of how they really came to at the station. You know, these are people that are retired, had never really touched technology in their life, and they came to the point where they could, you know, fully utilize our studio in terms of the lighting, in terms of our video switching system, which is like, you know, operating 3 different cameras and stuff. And they now do the show on a monthly basis by themselves, and they consistently produce it. And, you know, they're finding value in that, and they're just, you know, consistently, you know, loving their experience. And they come to me whenever they need to learn something new. But I was just really surprised by that, because I know a lot of elderly people can be, you know, feel very daunted by the aspect of picking up a new piece of technology. And a lot of times they go to the millennials, I guess, which is, you know, my generation, to really try to fill that gap and try to learn those things. And I think with our staff, we're positioned well to help, you know, kind of help with that transition in terms of learning new skill sets and trying to ease that passage for the elderly. And I think that's, in, you know, speaking on a more meta level, what's going on right now. We're adapting to this tech boom that's happening, and we're at the very beginning of it. So, you know, we want to help them along. And to speak quickly about empowerment, community access, I believe, is a utility for that, for people in the community. If they have a voice and they want to get it out there, media is a way to, you know, record that and put it out through different various media forms. It could be the channel, it could be the internet. You know, the stuff that people record here, some of them, you know, take it and they use it for their own purposes and their own agendas to pursue their missions and what they believe their message is to get out there to really help them accomplish what they're setting out to do in their life. So I just love to see more of that, and I think you know, HD will help with that. Usually when something looks, you know, more clean and crisp, people are more likely to look at it. So from the HD perspective, that's my take on it. And yeah, cool. Have a great night.
Next on my agenda, I have Kaylee. And you're talking for Mike, I guess.
Best one for last, guys. No, I'm just kidding. So, hi, I'm Kaylee. I am the newest full-time employee here at Harbor Media. And before I get going on my spiel, I would like to read something from our associate producer, Mike. He's actually next door filming the CPC meeting. So, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for not being in attendance this evening, as I am currently filming a meeting for Harbor Media's government channel. I am certain that the testimony provided by members of the community has furthered the point as to why community access is so important to a town like Hingham. In terms of Harbor Media's government channel, it serves as the town's way to stay informed and up to date with all the important decisions being made that impact the citizens currently residing in Hingham. Many town officials and citizens have often expressed their gratitude for the job that we do in getting the televised meetings broadcasted and replayed on Harbor Media's government channel in a timely manner. And we wish to do that in the years to come. So, HD, guys. Really, HD. Yeah, so as you can see from Mike, we are incredibly busy here at Harbor Media. We actually are filming, I think, 4 meetings right now at this very moment. And that's one of the reasons why I love working at Harbor Media so much, is that it was so different than I expected. I recently graduated in 2017 from college, and I felt like I didn't know anything from my field. I felt like my classroom setting was not what I wanted, so I came here at Harbor Media basically just as a resume builder, and I was incredibly wrong as my perspective. I've learned so much from especially Aaron and Chris, And now, as I'm going on to ending my first year here, I am now in a position where I'm able to teach the citizens in Hingham more about video work and more about TV, which I love. We actually have one member / volunteer with the Hingham High School. You saw him in the video, Cormac McDade. He's one of my favorite human beings of all time. He has autism, and when we first met him last year, he could barely form a sentence. And now he's actually able to be interviewed, and he's actually making his own show called Cormac's World. So I love it. It's so much fun to work with him and so much fun to work with community. So thank you.
Hi, I'm John Rice. I live on Lafayette Road in Hingham, and I've been a member of this committee for 5 or 6 years, and I also am a member of Harbor Media, and I'm a producer by trade. And I just want to say one thing first. I want to thank Comcast for all the money and support you've given us for all the years. I don't think it's always just a one-way thing. I think it's been fantastic that we have cable companies that can help work with us and be true partners with us. And in that spirit, I hope our negotiations, are fruitful for everyone. As a member of Harbor Media, I have delivered programming like for the Special Needs Athletic Partnership, better known as SNAP here, programming that's aired for the Hingham Historical Society. You saw a clip from it with the David McCullough piece, and try to do what I can to help put some media on, as well as the other stuff I do with clients and things. And I guess just to reiterate what everybody else is saying, Mike, and you already heard us when we had our meeting a while ago about the importance we really are thinking about when it comes to having HD, and we're hoping that there'll be some movement on that. And I think for the people here who don't know, Comcast does have systems around the country, in Minneapolis, in Philadelphia, in Longmeadow, Massachusetts. So there is precedence for HD from Comcast, and we're hoping that they'll perhaps start to roll it out as it begins to become more viable, and looking forward to that. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks. Carolyn Kennedy?
Here.
You're up.
You want me up there?
Yes, please. Name and address.
Carolyn Kennedy, 23 Hawthorne Street, Hummerock, Massachusetts. But I'm here representing what I used to do, which was a member of the business community of Hingham for over 15 years. I developed and managed Derby Street. And from there, I have retired. And since I've retired, this station has become more important to me because I am now in the retirement 501c3 helper. And one of the things that I do is I rely on this station to get the word out to the different communities, the 501c3s that don't have a voice. They're small, they need to raise money, and the station has been more than wonderful, giving me time and energy to get that word out. So I'm here saying thank you. Thank you for having it, and I hope we continue.
Mr. Baxter, you're up. Sky was on the Cable Advisory Committee way back at the beginning, and he is the man for the educational area. So.
Yeah, Skylar Thaxter, 246 Main Street, Hingham. Yes, he was right. I was involved through the school system from 1986 to 2007 when I retired as the educational representative on the Hingham Cable Advisory Committee, and also was involved with Comcast at that time in getting some educational programs done. I had a full-time job as a library media specialist, but I tried to cover things such as system-wide music concerts, graduation, and other things, and try to give them to cable. Cable in terms of Jeff Spencer, who passed away, and was helpful and good. But it was a big shift when it came to the fact of when Comcast handed the job over to HCAM, and I still was represented on the committee as the educational representative, And at that point, all of a sudden, I got support. We got a new TV studio at the high school in 2000. And all of a sudden, we were able not only to have equipment that was paid for through Comcast, but we were able to get help from HCAM covering events that I couldn't cover. Now, that has also shifted as we've moved forward. When I worked with Phil and with Aaron, they are now covering all the elementary schools, the middle school, and the high school does their own thing. But the coverage in terms of educational events has been huge. I could produce a list for you that I had to give to the committee all the time about what Aaron was doing or Phil before her was doing in terms of covering school events. So it's been a big shift, and yes, we do need HD because we're filming on HD cameras. So I went in 2007, took a few years off, and then came back and served on the committee, and recently, last year, retired. And today, I was out in the field using cable equipment to film a new program that Bob Mellors and I are working on called Trails of Discovery, where we're going to go around and film areas throughout Hingham to get people to realize and to kids to realize that this whole other world, whether it's World's End, whether it's that Laner property, and take them with people out into those worlds using video as the medium. So I support, the thing, and I want Harbor Media to keep going and producing stuff, and they're doing a great job, and I want Comcast to give us the support along with dollars for HD and for equipment. Thank you, Comcast, and thank you, the board.
All right, thanks, Guy. I have Mary Ann Blackburn.
She is, Mary Blackburn.
Yeah.
I don't think she's here.
She's not gonna make it?
She's got an event at the community center.
Okay. All right, she's off the list then. Eric, you're up.
I'm Eric Connerly from 37 Otis Hill Road. I am here primarily on behalf of Stephen Becker, the manager of information technology for the town, who wanted to emphasize how important the town's information network is, the INET. The INET provides for the town internet and email access, public safety database, the geographic information system to dispatch emergency equipment, file servers to share information between the various town offices, building permits, human resources files and self-service for the town employees, security cameras for things like the schools and the town buildings, the assessor's parcel database. The INET is key to what happens in the town, and the INET is currently a couple of the fibers on the fiber bundle that Comcast currently maintains. We need to make sure that this continues in the town. And that was Stephen Becker's message. On a personal note, I also would love HD in town. I do watch the channels as the non-televised, non-video forms of media are on the decline. The service provided by especially the government channel is more and more important to the people in the town. And on a personal note, my son's band couldn't have had the publicity that it had without the services of the public channel, and it's really helped increase a lot of local enjoyment of local musical acts.
I had Katie McBride. Katie?
Hi, my name's Katie McBride. I live at 157 Central Street in Hingham. I had very much the pleasure of meeting Joe Collymore because I just ran for state senate and got interviewed by him. And I have to say that the community access program is amazing. His questions were really thoughtful, he actually read my platform and came up with really amazing questions. And the discussion was awesome. And if we did on a national level what we did on the local level, I think we'd be in a lot better shape, honestly. So it is fantastic, and we really need it because I think it really brings forth to the community and to everybody locally, one, how important politics are, but two, gets an unbiased and very thoughtful review of all the candidates. So I thought it was amazing. So thank you, Joe. And we need high definition. I guess everyone needs to say that, right?
We'll do some from the sign-up sheet. We had Lee Balzer. Did I spell that right?
Yeah. And Newton.
I live at 47 C Street in Hull. I'm a member of Harbor Media. I want to start by saying that, oh, my note disappeared. Conversations are key to building a vibrant community. And community access TV creates an opportunity for dialogue around ideas and issues that affect residents and members of the community. We build community through media. One of the, I've worked on a few different shows as a member of Harbor Media, both in front and behind the camera. I've learned an invaluable amount of technical lessons and how to create quality content. And one of the things I'm working on right now with my friend Newton here is a show called Newton's Neighbors. It's a show geared towards children that we go around town and interview people, members of the community, and what they do for a living, artists, ministers, teachers. We're just starting the show, but that's the vision of the show. I think it's very important in this day and age of how many hours kids spend behind looking at a screen to offer them at least some quality programming, which really is rare these days. And community TV allows that opportunity like nothing else does. It allows, for our show, we want to broaden children's ideas of what they could be when they grow up, what kind of passions they can follow, and just to see what is available in their community. They don't have to go anywhere. It's right there. People that are making leather bags, people that are painters, photographers, musicians, artists of all kinds, teachers, public service, people that do public service, all sorts of things. So I think that Harbor Media and the gifts they offer to the community are invaluable, and I just double check here. Newton, do you agree with that? Yes, I agree. I thank you for your time, and I hope that we can get HD TV. Yes, thank you.
Neil Wood.
Hello.
Hey.
So, an easy question before I begin, but how many of you watch TV or seen a TV somewhere in your life? Okay, you got to admit, Harbor Media puts out some of the most positive programs on the planet right now, right? And I believe the world needs more of that, and I've seen Lee's show. She's wonderful with kids in the community. We moved our family to Hingham in 1995. Our three children went through the high school programs and graduated, playing sports along the way. And I really got a feel for the community. I forgot to mention I live on A Street in Hull. Okay. I'm an export, but I've come back home. Okay, I've come back home. But we're all welcome here, right? So I want to thank Farzad and Chris, as well as Erin, for welcoming me to create a show that inspires others. I interview people who have, whether they're children or adults, who've done some great things with their life. And what we found is the people who watch the shows get inspired to go after their dreams. And the youngest we had was Katrina Riker, right, who was 14 years old and won the talent show here in South Shore. And I believe, like Lee mentioned, when kids or children or adults see someone like that pursuing their dreams and having the courage to stand up and do something most people would never even give it a shot to, it inspires folks. And we could not do it without Harbor Media, Comcast, and soon HD. So that's all I wanted to say. I want to thank you for your support. It means so much. And I knew nothing about producing TV shows, and you've just totally welcomed me And it's interesting to see Chris on the other side of the camera tonight. Normally you're behind. And anyway, it's a great group, and thank you, board, for your support. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, that's all I had on the signs. Is anyone else who did not sign up who wants to some testimony? Yes, no? Yes, come on up. Come on up.
Good evening, everyone. You're probably all wondering why the police chief would want to come up here and speak to this group. I'm just here tonight to express my support and my department's support for the continuation of funding and services provided by the Harbor Media. And what it sort of means to us in law enforcement, I think, is the perspective I'm going to talk about here a little bit. I was very fortunate to start my law enforcement career in what I consider was a time when law enforcement was changing. It was in a movement to create better policing and professionalism in the field of law enforcement. And it all started back in the 1960s. We all know that we saw great unrest in our country. We were all witness to it. We saw it on TV. We all crowded around one TV, and we watched what was going on in the world around us. For the first time, we were able to see the world in a much bigger picture here. The protest of the civil rights movements, the Vietnam War, the rise of the women's movements, just a few of the things that we began to see. The impact of public television, of what public television had on society, was quickly becoming apparent. As I said, households went from owning one television to perhaps two, if you were lucky. If you think about this is the beginning of the roots of social media. And how did we use that, and what was done with it? Part of the changes that we, from the 1960s as a police department, saw was the need for police became apparent that we really weren't prepared to handle the civil unrest that was out there. We needed to make changes. Education, lots of different changes came about through presidential reports, through education, making officers rise to a better level, and the idea that the police could accomplish their mission by becoming community caretakers and finding solutions to crimes with partnerships with people in the community was a novel idea. The concept of community policing was born. So how do we go about community policing? How do we make changes in this world? We started reaching out to citizens, faith-based organizations, business groups, neighborhoods, to educate them on what we as a community could do to help make our community safer. We continued that philosophy into our mission today. Community outreach is such a big part of what we do today. The most effective tool we have to make change in this world is social media. Television and cable provide us with this medium. Citizens get a great opportunity, as everyone talked about here, to see what the government is. We all want transparency. What a better way to get transparency in how people operate, by watching it on TV. We're not going to get ABC, NBC, that, by the way, do have high definition, I think, right? And you know, if we don't have that, if you don't have the quality, people are going to stop watching it, because there's so many different ways for people to get media now. If you can't compete with good pictures and different things, you know, you're going to lose that viewership that's helping us. The police department's become a strong ally and friend of Harbor Media. Most of these people I've had plenty of time behind the camera with, spent lots of time with them. I've always been impressed with the professionalism that they bring to the world. And I'm glad if I could get them to make me look about 20 pounds lighter, I'd be happy. I hear that so the high definition does do that. So, but you know, every time we have a cause or we're doing something good in the community, we've reached out to Harbor Media, and they've provided those services for us. And the great thing for us is that it gets the word out to people. You can't, if we want to talk about the opioid addiction, when we were working with Hingham Cares in the community, I don't know how many times we had Hingham Harbor Media come down and film things for us and put it out there. We had training sessions that they would film. Other police departments would watch those. So the work that they're doing out there goes really into making this a better community in so many ways. And that's how we continue to use it as a basis for us to reach out to the town and try to solve some of the problems that are out there. We've talked about school events that go on. I recently, Joe's getting a lot of shout outs today. Joe, I had a great interview with you the other day, and you know, I think out of that, the conversation we had with him, Joe and I sort of talked about this idea of having a show, what they call Courageous Conversations, where we would talk about some of those things that no one wants to talk about. You know, we talked about how the world doesn't want to talk about race issues. It doesn't want to talk about addiction, suicide, mental health issues. These are all subjects. The only way we're going to get change is to do it. And I know that my conversations with Joe probably aren't going to make the world change, but at least it might make somebody change in this world. And I think that's what the idea behind having an outlet in Harbor Media does for us. It allows us to at least make an effort to make this world a little better place than what we came here with. So I would urge you to keep continuing funding this, make them, give them the best tools they have to continue this job. I think it's really crucial, and I think we as a town, I know every meeting I go to, I think it's really great. We have elderly people at home that cannot get to the meetings. They watch it on Harbor Media. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for testimony? Come on up.
So I'm Ben Lockheim. I've 15 Gardner Street, and I've been a Hingham High School teacher. And before that, I lived on Manatee Road, so I've been in town for about 8 years. And I've been working with Harbor Media since about 2014 or 15. So I can give you a little bit of a different perspective, being on the inside, kind of on the ground level as a teacher at the high school. I could not be more thankful and grateful for Harbor Media. You know, the police chief talked about making the world a little bit of a better place. I think that they absolutely do that. I'll give 2 examples that I can come up with, but they've done tons more for me and my peers as well. Along with being a history high school teacher, I run a mentor program which helps to, and we're in our 2nd year with this, but helps to pair up upperclassmen with incoming freshmen to make the transition to high school a little bit smoother. As a lot of people here are parents, know that sometimes freshmen don't communicate, or high school kids as well, with their parents as much as they may have liked. Harbor Media does an incredible job showing the events that we do, and you know, we did a trivia night to try and get the kids to bond and feel a little bit closer to a community, and it was an incredible night. And Harbor Media portrayed that very well on about a 2-minute clip. And I'm sure if the parents asked their kids how the night was, the kids would say, "Oh, it was cool." And then that was about it. And then they watch the video and they get great insight into seeing all the things that we want to do with the mentor program, and some amazing, hilarious, insightful moments that night brought out. And I thought that is incredibly helpful. It does give the community access to the incredible things that the students do on a daily basis and a nightly basis. We also do a senior community service day where the seniors, to also try and improve the school culture, all of the seniors, it's voluntary, but we have about 95% participation from the senior class. And they go out, and in a day in April, right before spring break, they literally serve the community. It's kind of a way for the kids who are about to graduate, or hopefully graduate, say thank you and to give back to the community, and do a day of community service. And Harbor, from the very beginning, Harbor Media has spent about they put together a final 5-minute clip that does an excellent job. I mean, think about trying to explain to the community how you could have 500 people essentially doing various things, working with 15 different businesses, with the limited resources they have. I'm always blown away at how well they produce things and make me and the kids look better than I thought we could possibly look with it. And imagine if they had more money and HD. I think they deserve HD. We all deserve HD, and the money and resources they can have to make it even better product than they already do, which is incredible. It just gives great insight to the little things that kids do, amazing things and relationships that they produce on a daily basis. And they do an incredible job. I've worked with Aaron and Kaylee and been incredibly professional and show what Hingham High School does and give insight to a lot of parents that often have that wall with their kids of understanding what's really going on. Well, there's video documentation of what's really going on, and they do a great job with that. I'll continue to use them in several different facets through the various organizations that I help to run, and I hope that they stay around for a long, long time so we can spread the word with that. We've had, for the Senior Community Service Day, in the 3 years that we've used them, we've had over 500, 800 views on YouTube alone, and then when they run through the daily station, I'm sure they get tons of views that way. So I know people are seeing it. I've gotten dozens of emails saying thank you for doing this incredible service, and that would have never happened without Harbor Media. It does a great job of where parents usually get fragmented pieces of information from kids and from emails that I may send out. This ties it all together beautifully. So thank you, and I hope that it continues and continues to even improve. Thank you.
Other people? I have my agenda questions and answers. Anyone have any questions they want to ask the committee? Or yes, no, maybe? All right. Closing remarks. The testimonies and input that you want to give to the committee and in the process, that does remain open. So this isn't like, oh, that's it, I missed my my opportunity. Next couple of weeks at least, if not further. We will be taking comments and testimonies. Just send it to us or Town Hall, and we'll make sure it gets included in our assessment report. Where, like I say, the contract comes up August 13th. 2019, and what do you want to say, Milton? Good, John?
Well, just like I think just to add the public.
Oh, that's right.
We had done an ascertainment hearing a year or two ago for our Verizon negotiation, which I'd like to enter in the record the transcript that we had, so that Comcast can also see. There were a lot of other people that were various community groups and select people that also testified then. During our Verizon negotiation, that people here don't know, we were also able to negotiate an extension with them, but also they are giving us an HD channel that we will be rolling out in the next several months.
Which we're currently planning to be a best stop channel. That's how we're going to use it. So we'll see this in glorious HD. Okay. Okay, that's about it from our end. Like I say, if you still have stuff that you want to send along, please send it in. It can be written, any type of media, we'll take it. Appreciate you guys showing up, and hopefully we can have a fruitful negotiation with Comcast and go forward.
Okay, great.
All right.
And we have to stay in session.
Yeah, we're going to stay.
We're staying in session.
We're staying in session.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.